Hi, I'm Lori, and today we're doing a video in my interview series where we talk to people about their weight loss journey. Today we have with us Melissa, who is a GLP-1 user. She's going to tell us about her story. I want to remind everybody that I am not a healthcare provider. My guest is not a healthcare provider. We're talking about what works for us. If you're planning on a weight loss journey, I strongly suggest that you seek the assistance of your healthcare provider. All that being said, I want everybody to hit that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and all of Melissa's information is going to be linked down below in the description. Then go over to her channel, like and subscribe. So, Melissa, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Well, thanks for having me, Lori. I really do appreciate it. Hi, everyone. I'm
Mhm.
Melissa. On YouTube, I'm known as Chasing Sunshine. So my handle is Chasing Sunshine 25. I am 43 years old. I have been basically struggling with weight all my life, and I started my GLP-1 journey last year. And I want to spread the news about how wonderful our GLP-1s are and how much it can help other people to tackle obesity.
So, how much weight have you lost and which medication are you on?
So being on GLP-1, I'm on compounded tirzepatide, and I have lost 75
Mhm.
pounds.
That's great. What made you decide to use Tirzepatide versus Semaglutide or the
So basically, I did a lot of research in the beginning
Mhm,
when I was pretty desperate to get my weight going down. So I researched a lot. I looked at a lot of YouTube videos that people were already on those journeys, and I noticed that semaglutide only tackled our one GLP-1 receptor, which was our suppression. And tirzepatide tackled our two receptors, which is the food noise and appetite suppression. And that is exactly what I wanted. I did not want to think about food anymore because that's always been something that has been constant for me. And I never knew that it was called food noise or even had a label. I
mhm.
just thought something was wrong with me. I was defective. But I used that. And actually, the first month I started, which was February 24, I was on Zepbound, but we had the system uh, card hacking that happened with the savings card, and
Mhm.
they didn't know when the savings card was going to start working again. So I immediately switched over to compounding at that point because I didn't want to stop the progress that I was already seeing and the food noise that was immediately gone. So I've been on compounded ever since March, technically, of 2024.
Now, I know for myself, I did not struggle with obesity till I was in my middle to late 20s, and it kind of started with the death of my parents. Have you been struggling with obesity your whole life, or is there a point that it started?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question. I'm sorry about your parents.
Mhm.
I have struggled with obesity pretty much my whole life. Uh, I had some trauma as a child. I was sexually abused by a parental person that I don't really label as a father because they don't earn that title, and my half brother at that time. And everything kind of rolled into that. It was security for me. It was comforting. It was the one thing I could count on that wasn't going to judge me or hurt me. Um, I didn't know at the time how much it would hurt me, right?
Mhm.
But excuse me, I was always taught to clean my plate when I was at his house, and I was made to clean that plate. And I feel like that was a lot that kind of evolved into being obese. I started those unhealthy habits. They plied me with a lot of candy and sugar to bribe me for things so I wouldn't tell somebody or that I would come with him and on the visitation days. And I think that that's pretty much what started it. It was just comfort. It never failed me. It never truly, to my young mind at that point, would hurt me.
I'm sorry that that happened to you, but I'm glad you're recovering and we're finding a way with the GLP-1 medications to move on. So, what was your aha moment that made you start on your GLP-1 medication?
Well, I'll take a step back if that's okay. And
Hmm.
I initially, the highest weight I've ever gotten to was 403 pounds.
Wow.
And in June 2023, I'm sorry, 2013, finally had decided, the South Beach, the Mediterranean, the Slim Fast, the Nutrisystem, Atkins, Slim Fast, none of that stuff was sustainable or working. And I needed desperate help because I was on a very dangerous road and I didn't know how much longer I would be alive. So I sought the help of the weight loss surgeons and wanted to do the gastric sleeve. So I was sleeved in June 2013 and I got down to about 242 pounds. So I lost like 167-ish, I think it was. And
Hmm.
I felt great. I felt amazing. I ended up starting in vitro the following year, and I gained about 20-ish pounds with that, with the medication, and then 30 pounds with my pregnancy. So then I was back up to 300. And life happens, things happen. I couldn't get the weight off no matter what I was doing. I ended up back at 330. So that brings us to last year in January of 2024, when I went to my PCP and I said, I'm desperate. This isn't working for me. I've tried everything I can imagine to get this weight off again, and I cannot get it off, and I need help. And I was in tears in the office. And I said, I've heard great things about these GLP-1s. I would really like to try Zepbound and see where that takes me. And that's when the magic happened. So ever since then, that food noise was instantly gone and it felt amazing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I like can think for myself. It was a freedom that I had never felt before. And everything else fell into place, the indifference to food, the food yuck factor, food looking at food or
Hmm.
thinking about food, just like, oh no, 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 no. So it's been a ride. I only wish that they had those out sooner because if they did, I
Hmm.
wouldn't have done my bariatric surgery.
That leads me to two questions. One, do you still have the sleeve?
Yes.
Are they still putting what is saline in it, or is it just there because you don't want it taken out?
So the gastric sleeve is a little different than the lap band, which is the
Hmm.
saline. The gastric sleeve, they actually remove about 75% of your stomach, so it's the shape of
Okay.
a banana. And they don't do anything with it, but
Okay.
you know, I I don't know if it ever stretches out. According to them back in 2013, they said it wouldn't ever stretch out, but you could gain weight back. So I'm not really sure if it did stretch out or not. I've never gotten it checked, but yeah, that's kind of where I was at.
So, are you still able to eat everything with the gastric sleeve, or just slower, or how does that work?
So it's a lot smaller portions. It was amazing because I would eat and I would stuff my face until I was full, and then I actually would get sick, and that's called dumping syndrome.
Hmm.
And I didn't want that anymore. I still, as a GLP-1 user, I still eat very small portions. I actually changed very early on in my journey from we had 10-inch plates at home down to like an 8-inch plate, and sometimes I even use smaller plates. So my portion sizes are a lot smaller than what they used to be, but I will say they are probably just a little bit more than when I started with my sleeve. My sleeve, I would have an egg, like a full egg, and I would be full. So, and then you graduate up to a couple other foods, but I'll have like 3 ounces of a meat and 1 or 2 tablespoons of a veggie, maybe another spoonful of another veggie, and then I'm done for now. So that's kind of where we've transitioned to.
So the gastric sleeve and the GLP-1 kind of work hand in hand with your portion size, or are the effects of the gastric sleeve like non-existent?
It's been so long that I don't even realize a lot of it. It is still in there because I can feel it when I drink. I can literally feel the
Hmm.
liquid going down my esophagus and down into my stomach. So I do feel like it's there. I feel like it does help in certain ways, but I would almost think if I didn't have the sleeve, I would still be having those smaller portions. So they are working, I feel like maybe a little bit hand in hand, but definitely the GLP-1 has been the saving grace because I was
No,
told,
no, go ahead.
sorry, I was told when I was getting the bariatric surgery, one of the selling points that they had was this gets rid of you wanting food. And indeed, it doesn't, or at
Mm.
least it didn't for me. And I'm not sure how many other, weight loss surgery patients can say this or not, but I was still thinking about food. Now, I think the first year it may have not have been where I was thinking about food because I was exercising, I was able to do things. But as it went on, I thought about food and I still couldn't shut it up.
Now, you said you got this from your primary care physician.
Yes.
So was he well knowledge on the GLP-1 medications, or did you kind of have to fill him in? Or 'cause I
No,
think that's a
she
big
wasn't.
problem.
It is. You're right. And no, she was not knowledgeable at all. She basically handed me the script and said, "Here you go." And that was it. If I hadn't have been watching some of the YouTube channels, if I hadn't have been, doing my own research and being my own advocate, I would be lost because I didn't know we should aim for this much protein if we can, or we're
Hmm.
trying to do this and we're trying to do this. This is the side effects we're going to have. This could, help combat those things. She wasn't knowledge at any of that. And that's one thing that I've kind of strived to make sure people know, like on my channel, is always be your own health advocate because
Hmm.
you are responsible for your health. You have to educate yourself because if you don't, you're not going to get any assistance. You're not going to get any help, and you're not going to be successful because these people are not educated like they're supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't quite understand that because more than I think it's over 60% of people are either overweight or obese in the United States, and yet primary physicians know very little about obesity, and there aren't a lot of obesity specialists out there for you to go to.
That's true.
So,
And
that.
with specialists, it does take 6 months. Sometimes it takes longer to get into as well. So I totally agree with you. I think every doctor, physician, nutritionist, whoever should have an in-depth view of GLP-1s, hands down.
That's one of the reasons why I like some of the compounding companies because uh, they do have the nutritionists and the doctors available. Not everybody takes advantage of that. I know myself. I have. I'm not going to necessarily mention the company that I use, but I can make as many appointments as I want, and I have periodically with just questions and so forth. And it may seem like I'm kind of bothering them, but that's what they're there for. That's what we're paying for.
Mhm. Exactly. I mean, the compounding pharmacy I use, I can send him a message anytime I want to, and he is very knowledgeable also in weight
Hmm.
loss surgery, which I love. So he's very familiar with my surgery in the past. I can send him my labs from my PCP and he gives me his feedback and I'll let him know what my physician has said. And I can schedule a meeting anytime I want with my nutritionist or send her a message. And I absolutely love that. I wish everybody had that. And it doesn't have to be a face to face with a provider. I actually kind of prefer for a face to face just so they can see me,
Hmm.
gauge me, get to know me a little bit, and I can see them. Some people don't prefer that, and that's fine. They do what they want to do, whatever they're comfortable with. But I do really appreciate the fact that I can message a provider or nutritionist at any point in time.
As a matter of fact, the company that I use, I just recently was curious about NAD plus and wanted to, try it and see what they know. And, we had like a 20-minute meeting and, I'm giving it a try. Too soon to tell how it's working because I've only been taking it for like 3 weeks. But, it was nice to know that that was available.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they're expanding a lot more. I see a lot of compounding companies going to NAD plus. I see them doing Semarelin and what is it? B BP 157 or something like
Hmm.
that. And I actually, it's funny you mentioned the NAD. I reached out to my doctor on my last check-in and I said, are we doing NAD yet? Because I haven't seen anything. And he said, yeah, it's kind of in the beginning phase, but so I can't tell you a whole lot about it yet because we haven't had a lot of feedback. But if you want to try that, let's go for it. So I did try it for 3 weeks, like you, uh, but then I had to stop it because I had surgery. So I had been off of it. I had to stop for 2 weeks prior, and I haven't started it back again because technically I'm not home yet. I'm um, non-weight bearing for another 6 weeks. So I'm
Hmm.
actually staying with my mother. But the one thing I was having, and I need to message him about it, was headaches. And he did say it takes about a month or so, I think, to really see the effects. It could take up to 6 weeks. So I don't think I was on it long enough yet to see what it could happen, what could happen, what the results would be. But I was getting that headache. So before I start again, I'll probably reach out to him just to see what his options are, suggestions for combating that, because nobody wants a headache all day. But some people don't have it.
Yeah, I think I had a slight headache once, but I mean, I'm like, oh, do I have a headache? And just got busy, and like 10 minutes later, oh, I guess not, or it's gone, one of the two. So, have you felt any of the effects in your few weeks that you tried it?
I couldn't really tell a whole lot yet. He started me out on a 50 milligrams. I can go up to
Mm-hmm.
100, but I was doing
Mm-hmm.
50 and doing it once a week. Just like, so I started doing it on shot day because why not? It's the same day. It's easy to remember, right? Uh, but I still wasn't being able to tell a whole lot. And I think sometimes there's different medications that take a while for my body to
Mm-hmm.
start to absorb and then take effect. Some people see things right away. GLP-1s for me, I could see instantly, but then others it does take time. So I think it just depends on our body chemistry and the type of medication that we're using. Did you feel the effects right away yet? Or just, I know you said you haven't really
Yeah,
been able to tell
I've,
anything.
I've sort of like a lot of times when like halfway through the day, because I work long days, it's like I could really take a nap. Well, I haven't had that feeling. So, I mean, in that way, it has helped. Hasn't really affected my sleep or anything. Uh, but, again, it's a little short term. Like I said, I kind of had a headache one day, and that was basically about it. Uh, Now I did talk to them again, and we decided also taking 100 a week, and we're going 25 every other day,
That's
as
nice. That you
opposed to the
might see more
100 a week.
result there. Yeah.
Right.
And then that way you're getting
So
little doses every day.
right. Well, every other day. But
Yeah, every other day.
so
Sorry.
we'll
Yeah.
see.
That may be something I
So
might
we'll
need to
see.
try just to see if it takes better effect or if the 50 is just too strong for me and I need to break it down. That might be a great idea for me
Hmm.
to check out as well. Um, yeah, so I mean, it doesn't hurt to try different things, especially
Right.
when they have so many great benefits.
Well, I mean, it's very early, and there aren't a lot of scientific benefits because even their doctor said, well, it's pretty well proven that it's not going to hurt you. At worst, it's just not going to help you, and then you could stop. So, and then I'll just be out maybe 100, $200, whatever. So
Sure.
we'll see how
I
that goes.
the one thing I really wanted to do is help me with my fatigue. I feel chronically fatigued. I've felt fatigued for so many years that it's ridiculous. So I don't feel like it's the GLP-1. I feel like it's something else, but I don't know if the GLP necessarily makes me feel any like stronger, but I'm like, please give me some energy because I definitely need it.
So let's get back to the GLP-1s for a moment,
Yeah.
because one of the reasons why I enjoy compound as opposed to name brand is that uh, I was getting a little bit of food noise back. Now, I've been on maintenance since January, and basically my dose has been 7.5. I tried 5, got some food noise, went back up to 7.5. And just last week, I had a little bit more food noise than I would like. So this week, I decided I went somewhere between 7.5 and 10. It's exactly,
Mhm.
it's kind of it's hard to gauge. I probably did like 8.5, I would guess. It possibly could have been 9, it possibly could have been 8. But I like the fact that you could adjust your dose like that.
Absolutely. And I think that for those people that are on 15 milligrams, and I am getting ready, I'm like right there at it. I'm kind of like
Hmm.
a few notches below it, not 13.5, but a little bit above that. I like that we can adjust it. And I feel like with compounding, they're going to be able to get higher doses for our folks that have maxed out and need more. So as me, I would love to get down. I am, well, last I weighed, let me put it that way, it was 245, 255. I'm sorry, 255. And I've had surgery and everything, so I've been bed bound, but I really would love to get to 180, ideally. I've always
Hmm.
said that I will go wherever it lets me, and if I could get to 200, that would be wonderful. If I can get lower, amazing. So I think that like you said, is in the future, and I think they are probably working on those higher doses for compound because you can adjust. If that one 7.5 is too, right there, it's okay, but the 5 is too much, maybe there's a middle ground, and they have you
Hmm.
adjust it. I love that option. With a pen, you see it and it's just, you can't adjust that. And I've seen people go, I think this one's too strong for me, but the other one doesn't give me what I need. Compounding gives it to you. And I absolutely love it. So I agree with you.
Well, that's also one of the differences between the United States and the UK, is they have their 1 month pen all in one. They call it Quick Pen, and I think it's 60 clicks as a dose, but you could actually go in between. So in the UK, they can adjust it somewhat, but they also don't have compounding. So that's the negative side of that, which possibly could be a choice for the U.S., but I don't know if Eli Lilly or Novo Nordisk would want to go along with that. Um, you know, that's a whole other thing.
It's
Now,
hard to
another
say.
thing that you brought up with the increased dose is I know that when we were worried about compounding go away and all these telehealth companies were like, oh no, we're customizing our dose. Some of them actually went to, I think it was a 16.5 dose instead of 15, which I kind of didn't know exactly how they came up with that, considering that 15 was supposed to be the higher dose. But
Well, and I agree with you. So my compounder actually did the 16.6, and I'm getting ready. That's the one I'm getting ready to get to, I guess. And I think they just tested the 15 on Lily, and that's as far as they went. I
there's
think
tests going on now.
oh yeah,
Hmm.
I think I think it's one of those things that they toy with and they see if it works. I am not above trying it, and sometimes I'll even give myself a little bit more. Like you say, I mean, we can play with it to find out what works for us. I don't know if they'll come out with higher doses. I hope they do, but I plan to stick with compound as long as I can, just because you can, you know, make your dose if you have to. And I think that our providers are pretty much on board with it. They're constantly researching
Hmm.
and discovering different things. So I think that that helps us. And I'm not above trying a higher dose. Now I have seen where people give two big doses at a time. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Don't do that. And, people are like, well, some people have died. Well, they have also given themselves a dose that was highly astronomical, that is
Hmm.
not advised at all. If it was a smaller increase like we've been talking about, that's fine. But some of them, yeah, they've taken bigger doses, and that's not okay. You cannot do that without talking to your provider and making sure that
Yes,
they're
that's the key. Talk to your provider.
talk to your provider. We are not medical professionals. This is our journey. That's what I tell people. This is my journey, my experience. I'm not your doctor. But yeah, I mean, I think that we get to be the scientists, right? We get to research
Mm-hmm.
and get some data for ourselves. So I think that that's great, and that's putting the advocacy back in our hands.
And that's one thing, if this in between dose seems to work, I'm not sure if I'm going to continue it or go back down because it could have just been a fluke thing. But even if I do continue it a week or two, I do eventually want to go back down to at least 7.5 because I want to be on as low dose as possible and
Sure.
still be able to continue my journey and maintain.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love that you can do that too. And I can't wait for maintenance. I can't wait. But I have to get on my feet again and get my stall because,
Hmm.
stalls happen too. And I think that that's something that people don't realize. And that wasn't really talked about when I started my journey. And that's something that I've tried to document, even though I've not wanted to, is having those open, honest conversations with people and letting them know this may happen to you. I had a 3 month stall. Did I
And
quit?
let's talk
No.
about that.
Sure. Yeah.
What do you think caused it? Or just your body adapting?
I think it was my body adapting, but there were also some other factors. For the first stall, I had started hormone replacement therapy
Hmm.
and I had also started weight training. And I know some of that could have been muscle, but as I kept going, I wasn't losing. And ended up I got off the HRT. I was having some heart palpitations and things like that. But the stalls, I feel like my body was just adjusting because I always stayed on the one dose as long as possible. I wanted to make sure 1 week of not losing isn't just a fluke. I want to really make sure that this isn't working before I go up. So I would give myself like 3 month period. If I had stalled for 3 months, then I'm like, okay, I need to go up. So that was kind of and some people don't want to wait that long, and I get it, but this is not a marathon. And that's
Hmm.
what's hard for me even. As I say that, it's hard for me to remember that I want this weight off. I want it off quick, just like everybody else does. And it's really hard to wait, but we have to because it's not sustainable if it comes off really quick. And as you go through the journey, you kind of realize that because people are in that fast mode. As soon as they get on this, I want to drop, drop, drop. But you're not taking the time to work on yourself in the process, which is something I did, trying to work on my eating behaviors and my relationship with food, understand what's happening with my body and be at peace with it and accept it and embrace it. But I also 3 months came in and I'm like, "Okay, doc, this is what's going on. These are my weights. This is what I'm doing." And then we would go ahead and titrate up. So I did have several stalls that lasted 2 to 3 months, but I kept going. I didn't what do you call it? I lost my brain. I didn't ever go off my plan or start, okay, well, forget it. I've gained weight the last 2 weeks. I'm just gonna indulge in whatever I want. I never thought that, which was amazing because without the GLP-1, that's what we would have done, right? Probably even
Hmm.
the first week. It's like, screw it, it's not working. Give me the food. I kept with it. I kept doing what I was doing, and I'm like, it'll eventually go away, it'll change, something will happen. But the key is consistency, to be consistent with everything that you're doing and not to give up. Even with a 1, 2, 3 week plateau, you want to keep going and maximize the medicine. As long as you have one dose that works for you, stay on that dose as long as possible. Because if you get up there to the highest dose quick, you have nowhere else to go. And it
Hmm.
also makes you have stronger side effects, which I've always said, you're going to get stronger side effects if you do this because this is why people always have said, "Oh, well, I don't want to be on that because it causes nausea and vomiting and, all this stuff." And I said, "Yeah, but that's mainly because people went up in dose faster than they should have." And on the Lilly trials, we all know that's how they did it. Every month they would go up. And I'm thankful that I had my compounding doctor that went with me and said, "I want you on the dose as long as possible." So he
Hmm.
was on board. And I'm very thankful for that because a lot of people are going by what Lilly has directed on their manufacturing box.
Yeah, like right now I'm working on a video on titrating up and talking to some doctors and some other people. A lot of them have said if you lose the weight too quickly, now this isn't when you first start, because when you first start, you're going to lose some inflammation and water and stuff like that. But if you start losing more than 1 to 1.5% of your body weight a week, if you lose more than that, which on a 200-pound person would be basically 2 pounds a week.
Mhm.
Um, if you start losing more than that, you're a lot more prone to gallbladder disease, gallstones, kidney stones, and so forth. And people just don't realize that. They just want to rush, 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 and those could lead to some serious consequences. And granted, you may lose more than the 1 to 1.5% for 1 week or two, but then the next few weeks you won't. They're talking on average.
Right. I agree with that. And you're also not being able to take the time to realize how this is helping you. Uh, and I was talking to my therapist. I'm a big advocate of mental health as well,
Hmm.
and in relationships with food and things. And with my trauma, I talked to her early on in my journey, and it just hit me like a light bulb. I ate so I could be invisible. I did not want attention from other people. So I ate and ate and ate so people wouldn't care about me. I wouldn't get the attention from men or anybody. I would just be invisible. And that was great with me because of all the trauma I had had. And that was such a profound thing for me to realize. But
Hmm.
now food doesn't have that weight over me anymore. And I've had such a freedom of being released from those things and those thoughts now that I'm just like, I don't need that food. I don't really want the food. Uh, and it's like food is more for fuel now. It's not for enjoyment. It's not for pleasure. I find pleasure in other things. And that is the healthiest for me to use for my journey. So I do think, if you have trauma, I do believe in talking it out with a mental health professional if you can, or someone close to you. Obviously, mental health professionals are better because they can kind of assess the situation and kind of guide
Hmm.
you. But it was nice to be able to finally come to that realization, and it was very freeing for me, um, not to be
I
able to
bet.
do that. And yeah, absolutely. And I don't think we talked about side effects yet, but that was
Mhm.
one thing. I had nausea, when I would first start out for a couple of weeks, but it wasn't like I'm going to throw up kind of nausea. It was, ooh, I'm not feeling that great. I might get sick. I don't know. I would go try to grab something to, like a Preggy Pop or some sour candy or something like that, to try to stop the nausea feeling, ginger chews. And then I discovered a carbonated beverage, and I'm like, this stops it. So I would have one carbonated beverage a day because it stopped the nausea.
Mhm.
And then, of course, constipation was the other big thing that nobody ever likes to talk about, but it is what it is. I mean, we've all been there. So, that's the thing that I feel like those two things were the nausea and the constipation, were the two big side
Biggest
effects for
help
me.
for
So,
constipation, water.
right, exactly. So I did. I would drink the water, I would drink my fluids, but as a bariatric patient, that's another challenge for me is
Mhm.
it's hard for me to get in my fluids. I stay dehydrated a lot, not meaning to, but I do. So I try to constantly drink. It's not easy because if it's not literally right in front of my face, I'm not going to pay attention to it. So I
That's
do still
another
struggle with
thing.
that.
And that's another thing that people don't really realize so much is not only does it suppress your appetite, but it does sort of, it does suppress your thirst. So, you have to make a conscious effort to drink, or you could easily forget about it, just like eating.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is me. That's totally me. So if I don't, I can sit it next to me, but if I don't see it in my peripheral vision, I'm not going to think about it. So yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I would definitely say drink.
Everybody at work laughs at me because I always, four drinks are lined up right next to me. I have my coffee. So, sometimes I'll have a little soda. I'll have my water, and sometimes I'll have my next water ready to roll, just
Yeah,
to remind me to drink it all, right there. And they're like, "You thirsty?" I'm like, "Well, I plan on being." Yeah.
that's my goal. That is your goal for the day is to try to get all those fluids in. I understand that. And that's a great strategy. I think it comes to what works for you, and that may be something I need to do that will help me with mine. So
Absolutely.
share and steal ideas, it all helps. Everybody helps each other.
Absolutely. And that's the whole idea of these interviews, is so that you could just learn a little piece from this, little piece from that. Uh, and people also say, they're afraid to take it because they're like, I like to go out to dinner and I like to enjoy my food. Well, I still enjoy my food. I still eat what I like.
Right.
What I like now is a little bit more healthy. And, if I do have something that's not quite as healthy, like the other day we had, a big cake and brownies and stuff like that, as we were celebrating breast cancer month. And I had a sliver of a piece of brownie, and it was just a small piece, but I still liked it. Yeah. It was
Yeah.
a little
I
sweet,
mean,
but I liked it. Yeah.
that's the thing. I mean, and I think people don't understand. They think that they've got to change everything, but you have to do stuff that you have to make the changes that are going to be realistic, right? That are sustainable. You cannot be
Hmm.
on a diet forever. And this isn't a diet, this is a lifestyle.
Lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. I go and I enjoy steak. I love steak. I mean, that is my
Hmm.
favorite thing. I'm gonna have it. I may have a bite or two of mashed potatoes, but I don't go hog wild on those things. Or like you said, there's a celebration of some kind, you may partake in it, and that's okay. But like you said, you had a sliver, and that's what I go for. If I want something, or if we're out somewhere and they are partaking in something, if it's a celebration and I do want it, then I'll say, I just want a tiny, tiny little piece. And I mean tiny. I just want a couple of bites. And then I'm done. I'm good. I'm satisfied. It doesn't take
Absolutely.
gorging on things. And you can still enjoy those hash browns from time to time. You can
Hmm.
enjoy those things that you like, but you are more mindful and you're going to know very quickly if your body doesn't like it anymore. And
Yeah.
I think that that's
Mhm.
genius. I mean, you eat something, either you eat too much and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm in trouble." Yes, you are. And you will probably not do that ever again. Or your body, you take in something that you used to like because you're trying it out, right? And I think we all do that. We've tried it out. Your body's going to quickly tell you that's not the good idea. And you're not going to do that anymore either. So, I do like it because I am automatically going, like you said, to those healthier choices. I'm constantly eating green beans. For me, my main goal is to get in that protein first, just because I have that smaller stomach. But I'm trying to incorporate, I'll have 2 bites of meat and protein, and then I try to incorporate like 2 bites of vegetables. So at least I'm trying to get in both at the
Right.
same time. At the beginning, I think I was just like protein focused. That also causes constipation, of course, as you know.
Constipation. Hmm.
Big time, buddy. And, I realize I need the vegetables, I need the nutrients, I need the fruit. So I'll have like a couple of blueberries, with my food, or I'll have that as my dessert. And the one thing that I say on my channel a lot is, do not call anything a treat. We are not dogs.
Hmm.
We do not need to give ourselves a treat for a job well done. Your treat can be something that's not food related. And I think that that is a huge step in our mentality, in our journey, is to make your reward for anything, don't call it a treat. My God, don't call it a treat. You can buy a book. You can buy a new pair of headphones that you've been wanting. You can buy a nail
Hmm.
polish, or, whatever you want. It does not need to be food related anymore.
Absolutely.
And I think that also comes into the obesity play, where we have all been taught, "Oh, you did such a good job. Give yourself a treat." No, don't do that. Treat now can be something different, not food. Everything is evolved around food. Holidays, you're eating constantly. People look forward to it. And I don't want to lose my other thought. We also, when we're having funerals or reunions or get-togethers of any kind, there's a mass amount of food. Everybody looks forward to the food. Parties of any kind, it just doesn't hold the same weight anymore. And you can still have those things. You can try a spoonful of something. You can try a little spoon of this, but you're not going to eat that much anymore. And people ask all the time, and I'm sure you have heard this tons of times too. Well, it's a holiday and I'm really looking forward to this, or I'm going on vacation and I don't want to take my shot. Can I not take my shot? Can I skip it? No, don't skip it. Because to me, if you're skipping a shot, that means, unless it's medically necessary, that your head isn't fully in it. You're still thinking about that food. And that means that you need to work on your relationship with food. If you are wanting to skip a shot for a vacation so you can enjoy the food, girl, you can enjoy that food on a
Hmm.
GLP-1 just the same. I just don't understand that. I really don't. That's a pet peeve of mine. I'm like, just take the shot every week. Take the shot. Just like Christopher Durham always says, just take the shot.
Just take the damn shot. I'm
Just take
kind of
the damn
going
shot.
through that dilemma right now because I'm going on vacation in a couple weeks,
Mhm.
and I'm going to take my shot. I'm just wondering, do I want to take, a smidgen lower? Because I do know I am going to indulge in a little bit, and I
Of
don't want to
course.
have any side effects. Uh, but I think I'm going to keep the same dose. But I usually take my shot on Saturday. We leave on Friday. I think just to make it more convenient, I'm going to take my shot on Friday instead of Saturday because that's a travel day. You know, my
Oh
appetite
yeah.
suppression will probably be super high, and it's a travel day, so I don't care, whatever. And
Yeah.
we stay at a timeshare, so like I'll go to the grocery store, get something to eat, whatever little thing that is, that's fine. And then, the next day, the appetite will probably still be suppressed, but not quite as much. And
Mhm.
not sure if we'll start going out to a meal that day or the day after, but I think that'll get me back in the swing of things. But I'm taking my medication with me because in case that's not enough and I feel like, oh, I do want to indulge more than I should, I could always, after what they say, after 3 days, you could always take a little bit more.
Mhm.
And plus, I'll be, my next shot day, put it back to my Saturday and then we come home that Sunday. Mm.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I had done. I went to Punta Cana um, this year in March, and we were flying out. I think it was like a Thursday, my or something like that. I don't remember what day, but anyway, I ended up taking my shot the day before that morning, right before we left, or that night before, so I wouldn't have to worry about it. Since we were going international, I wasn't sure. I didn't want to get stopped or anything like that with having my
Mhm,
medication with me, right? So, and I didn't want anything to happen to it. So I took it and I was fine. Like you say, airplane travel days the first day. Yep, that was for me too. When we get there, you're exhausted. You really don't want to eat a whole lot anyway, and all that. And then the next couple of days, everything's just gradual. If I would go have a
mhm.
little scoop of gelato with my son, I would have 3 bites of it and I'm done. And I'm like, that was really good. And that hit me in my little system like, okay, I had that. I got to have that. I enjoyed it very much. I'm full. I don't want any more of it. I would have little things. I think that it's necessary so we don't go completely overboard. But I will say, for my surgery recently, I was off the shot for 2 weeks. And that was a struggle for me because I had never been off for
Mhm,
2 weeks. And I was so scared that I was going to have all the food noise in the world and I was going to be gorging on everything. Surprisingly, not, which I was really, really surprised and impressed
mhm,
that I didn't. Everything was the same. My eating habits were the same the whole time. And boy, I started that shot the same day I came back home. I was like, you're going in. I took it. I was like, nope, it's shot day. But it was surprising because I really expected a lot of the food noise to be back the second week. And I know that it does stay in our
mhm.
bodies. I was impressed how long it was still staying in there, pretty significantly.
Yeah, I know one time I skipped my shot for like 2 weeks, probably more like 11 days. And that was just because a couple of my subscribers asked about if how quickly the food noise would come back. And I know it's different for everybody, but I'm like, well, how would I know unless I try it? So,
Sure.
I just did an experiment, and so like the first week wasn't a problem, and then I think I went like 4 or 5 more days. It really wasn't a problem, but I did notice some food noise coming back a little. I'm like, okay, experiment over.
Yeah,
I could say I did
exactly.
it, and it was enough for me to know that I probably, as long as I could afford it and it's available, will be on some form of a GLP-1 for the rest of my life,
Right.
because I don't want all this work to be undone. And I know that I've learned a lot and I'm eating smarter, but I just don't know how well it would be 2, 3 months not on a medication, what my
I
control
agree
would
with
be
you.
like.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I'm like Lorraine Durham. I plan to be on it the rest of my life at some point,
Hmm.
some dose, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. And people, I'm sure you get it too. You want to be on that the rest of your life? I'm fine being on it the rest of my life if I need to
Hmm.
be. It People don't understand how much it changes you, how much it helps you, and how much it frees you, right? And I think that that is part of it. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't want that food noise back ever because I was held down for so long by that food noise. I don't ever want that to come back.
Now you started on Zepbound, correct?
Yes, for 1 month.
Okay. Um, did you notice any difference in quality between name brand and compound?
No, not at all. And I get that question a lot too. And I do see that out there in the GLP-1 world. People asking if there's any difference. I've not seen any difference. And from what I understand from other people, they've not really been able to tell a difference either. Now, there's a small, minute minority that may say something different, but majority of us are the same that we can't really tell a difference.
Yeah, I couldn't tell the difference because my wife is a type 2 diabetic and it actually has Monjaro. And back when I thought compounding was not going to be around, I kind of stocked up. And then when I found out it was going to be around, I'm like, well, I mean, I still actually have a lot of it. I
Yeah, me too.
probably have like 7 or 8 vials in my refrigerator. So I'm like, okay, well, your Monjero is good for some a year, some even a little bit longer than a year. I'm like, and you could stop getting yours from the pharmacy and pick it back up as long as your doctor prescribes it. So let's use up some of this compound. And she didn't really notice a difference. Now, she did say that it hurt a little bit more. Now, that could just be the particular type of syringe and needle. I'm like, if that's really a
Hmm.
problem, because I was actually looking, and sometimes they send me, I think it's a 30 gauge, and sometimes it's a 31 gauge. Not that
Hmm.
that's that big of a difference, but I'm like, I could go on Amazon and get the smallest gauge that there is. I mean, if that's, and a
Right.
box of like 50, I think is only like $30. It's not like it's expensive. I'm like, if
Right.
that'll make you happy. And she's like, well, I kind of want to stick to mine, so I'm not going to argue, but yeah. But she didn't
It's a
really notice a
fear,
difference in
right?
the medication.
Oh yeah. And it's a fear. People are kind of afraid. You have that fear factor. Well, what if this isn't the same for me as I'm taking now? And that's a legit fear. And I think all of us have probably felt that way. I didn't really think about it to be honest. When I switched, I was just desperate to keep going because I'd already been on it
Hmm.
1 month. But like you, I probably have 8 vials in the refrigerator right now that I stocked up on too, because when we all thought compound was going away. Holy cow. That just shows you how desperate people are to be healthy. And there are so many people out there that have obesity that are scared to start because they see the side effects or they see that some people have died, but there's underlying things that have happened for those things. Like when someone passed away, I think they had an underlying heart condition. There's all different kinds of things. There's always going to be a risk with anything you do, right?
With
To
aspirin.
me, yeah, exactly. To me, this outweighs any risk possible. And they're showing more rewards for this
Hmm.
medication every single day. And it's
Absolutely.
amazing. It is truly amazing. So to me, it's worth that risk. I want to live. I want a long, healthy, happy life with my family. And there was no other way for me. There was nothing else that fixed this issue except for this GLP-1. And people say it's like a miracle drug. And yes, to me, it's been an answer to prayers. But I think that a lot of people out there that are still struggling with obesity either haven't reached that point yet, or they're still in the point of, I don't even know how to describe it because when I was 403 pounds, I knew I was heavy, right? But I didn't realize how bad it was. It was like I had a film over my on my
Hmm.
eyes that I just didn't realize you got a problem. You are going to die if you do not get this under control. And it didn't really hit me. And then one day it clicked and I'm like, I've got to do something about this. Period. I've just got to. And some people may not be there yet. But I see a lot of people struggling. And I'm like, oh God, if they would just, God, if they would just give it a chance, if they would just give this a chance. And some of it's affordability, and I get that too. But like
Hmm.
we've all talked about, there are plenty of options out there for someone if they are struggling with obesity. Some people always just think that they're going to go by the manufacturer because it's safer. And
And that might be true. Anyway,
it
everybody's
might be
different.
true, right? And you got to do your comfort level. But if you're looking for more affordable, there are plenty of compounding options out there. And I mean, you and I are proof of that. And
Absolutely. And
I'm so
I want to
thankful for
remind
it.
everybody, if you're going for a compound, I would stick with some of the bigger named telehealth companies, find out which pharmacy they're using, do some research, and then make your decision. But, you know, some of these walk-in clinics or places that won't tell you where they got it from, you may want to run the other way.
And med spas. Yeah,
Right. And if a deal sounds too good to be true, it just might. So,
absolutely.
do your research. But people are desperate, which is why, there's a gray market. Like I know one of the people that I work with that's supposedly been on Redditutide through the gray market for several months. Uh, you know, people are
Yeah,
desperate,
they are.
and
And that was the scary part when compound we thought was going to go away. People went gray. And
mhm,
You know, I mean, I gotta tell you, I did think about it. I've thought about it
mhm,
once or twice. I've not done it, but I see all the results with Retta coming out, and I am so excited for it because I think that'll be
mhm,
the jump start I need. But I see it and I'm just like, gosh, be very careful. But people are so desperate, they will buy anything. They're buying it from places that are not even, you would think they would know that it's a scam, but people are so blind to it. They're desperate for it. They want to get healthy and they're choosing other options. And, you know, it's it's scary, but yes, do your research. I mean, there's so many compounding companies out there that are, more more popular or you'll see their name a lot more, but do the research, you know?
mhm.
And list them all out. List out the benefits, outweigh the pros and the cons. Look at the cost if cost is a factor for you. There are very affordable GLP-1 compounders out there that are legit and effective.
And if you're worried about cost, right now the name escapes me, but one of the first GLP-1 medication that came out years ago is now available in a generic. So it's not the
That's Saxenda.
Tirzepatide or this. Yeah, Xenda, right? So there are other options if you can't afford it. Now, as far as the new medication, I'm kind of looking forward to the orforglipron being on maintenance. I think a daily pill, I don't care if it's not quite as effective. I'm not afraid of shots, but I just think a daily pill might be easy and may, keep me a little bit more steady with food noise, and it just might be easier for me. And I think it's going to be less expensive because there's no refrigeration required, both in the transportation, storage at the pharmacy, and even Eli Lilly is talking somewhere around a $200 a month price for that, which is a little more affordable. Uh,
It should be a little
are
less, in
there?
my opinion, but that's just me.
It should be, and it might be. We don't know. I mean, that's just what the talk is now. But you said you're looking forward to the Redditutide. Have you looked into any of the other ones coming out?
I've looked at a few, but what I've seen, I am a member of some of the gray market groups just to see what's going on and how they're doing on things. And some of them have even meshed two medications together,
Mm-hmm.
but like it has to be a GLP and a GIP together, not two, GLP-1 receptors or something like that. So that's been interesting too. So I just find it very informative and interesting, and I'm hoping that some of that will come out for other people that
Mm-hmm.
may be even more affected, and people are doing their own research, and you can't blame them. I mean, really, you can't blame
Mm-hmm.
them, as long as they're cautious and they're careful. But I've seen Retta, I've seen a couple other ones. One of them I thought I would maybe go to, but it's not suppressing the food noise. It would do the appetite, but not the food noise. And I'm like, oh, gotta have both. So I keep watching, but Retta, from what I understand and have read, and then I see like Dr. Nadolsky talking about,
Mm-hmm.
seems to really be working very well. So I'm excited for that
Yeah.
one. But again, I don't know if it's going to be, I think it's going to be an injection from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other thing. I think people are afraid to go to GLP-1s because they don't want to inject themselves or they're very nervous.
It's nothing. I was nervous the
It's
first time.
not.
After the one time, it's nothing.
Same. I hate needles, right? I hate them. And I've never wanted to look at them. They make me squeamish. It was nothing. And I'm so glad that I did it and took that step because, and that's the same thing with a couple people I've talked to. I don't want to do the needles. I'm like, I promise you, it's not what you think. And it's not bad. You pinch that fat, you're in there, it's done. Easy.
Even now, people that are on 15 and have nowhere to go, like Dr. Nadolsky, Dr. Dan, a lot of them have talked about like adding Wellbutrin, or there are other medications that you could add right now to possibly help it. And in the next generation, like you said, you're going to be able to stack a couple of them together, and hopefully. Uh, you could go to somebody that's knowledgeable on that and they'll be able to guide you. But there are options with that even now for people on 15 of combining it with other medications that are available now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for the future. I think that there's great things coming.
Me too. So just real quickly, what does a day of food look like to you?
Oh my gosh. I'm not usually a breakfast eater, but since I've been
Me
kind of
neither.
homebound, a couple hours after I wake up, I'll go and have some Greek yogurt with just a tad of honey in there, a little bit of granola and fresh fruit. Lunch usually, sometimes I just have a bar because I'm not that hungry.
Hmm.
And and then dinner, I have a piece of protein, whether it's steak or chicken, fish, whatever. And then I'll have a couple spoonful of vegetables and I'm done. And that's
So
okay
how do you
with
get
me.
your fiber in?
Fiber, sometimes I'll have one of my bars that has some fiber in it. Um, that's a problem also for me, I think, like being with a gastric sleeve is being able to get in those nutrients. So I have been taking fiber supplements and fiber gummies just to help with that because I
Hmm.
realized, yes, I do need those. I'm not getting it out of a couple spoonfuls of veggies a day. It's just not happening. But yeah, I'll get in and I'll do some gummies or something like that.
Yeah, I've kind of been on a fiber kick lately because like for the first time, like I had constipation, and I don't think it was the medication's fault. I know I did not drink enough water, and a couple days of that, like I was over it. I'm like, let me increase my fiber, and I've been like really big on adding like beans and things like that to my diet. And you know, besides the fiber, they also do have a little bit of protein, which is a
Hmm.
plus. Um,
Absolutely.
and I was watching a video, and I forgot the name of it, but there's a like a sugar-free candy substitute that are like gummy bears, and they literally have an entire day's fiber in them
Hmm.
for only, I think it was like 100 calories for the little packet. And I know I've
Yeah.
tried them once before, and they weren't bad. I'm really not into that type of food, but like if you need the fiber, it's an option,
Yeah,
and you
absolutely.
kind of get that sweet tooth taken care of if you have one.
I'm one that likes to
Some,
like crunch or feel
mhm,
things in my mouth, whether it's I chew on Tic Tac sometimes just because I like to feel
mhm,
that. And it kind of satisfies if I'm not hungry, but I need something in my mouth just to chew, then I go for my Tic Tacs.
mhm,
Or the gummies, like you said, you take your gummies and it kind of satisfies that for you.
mhm. Absolutely. Let's talk about your channel for a second. So tell me
Okay.
why you started your channel and tell me about your channel.
So my channel on YouTube is Chasing Sunshine 25. I wanted to start it because for one, I wanted to document my journey, but I
Mhm,
always going into it thought I want to document my journey because I hope that there's someone out there that takes something from what I've been going through or my journey and uses it and it helps them. And I don't want people to feel like they're alone. So I try to have open, honest conversations, even when I don't want to record. My viewers and subscribers know that sometimes I'm like, guys, I did not want to make this video, but I'm going to be honest just because transparency, right?
mhm,
And I think it's helped people, and they're like, "Thank you for being vulnerable about that because I was going through that." And to me, that is why I do my channel. I just want
mhm,
people to know they are not alone. They are supported in this community. We are all in it together. And it's okay to be imperfect. We
mhm.
are all imperfect. We are trying our very best. And as long as we keep going and going in the right direction, that's all we can ask for.
Absolutely. Um, is there a video that you're most proud of?
Oh my gosh. There was one about I think my most watched one is called I Messed Up. And I honestly forget what it was. I've had a lot of brain fog lately, but I had messed up something pretty bad and oh, I know what it was. I wasn't eating. I wasn't eating. And that was hard for me to make that and document that, but at the same time, like I say, I'm always trying to be honest and transparent with everyone. And I wanted it out there because I felt like there's somebody out there doing that too.
Mhm,
And we've all struggled with, "Well, I'm just not going to eat, or I'm going to fast for a while." And fasting's fine. Talk to your doctor. And just not eating to drop the weight faster or just to get the stall off, just to get it going again. And it wasn't working. And it was like, okay, I got to take a step back, refocus, reevaluate everything that I'm doing, and just be honest about it because that is not helpful. It's not helpful for me. It's not helpful for my body. My body didn't like it. It was hurting me more than it was helping me. So that was the video I think I'm most proud of is it's called I Messed Up. And it was just a real vulnerable, honest me talking about something that I had struggled with and that I was trying and I did. I messed up and this is how I was going to fix it.
that's great. Speaking of the fact that you couldn't remember, that kind of brought up a thought about the NAD that I've been taking is like I have not been diagnosed with ADD, but I am one of these people that in the middle of my talk, oh, look, there's a cat. Oh, look, there's a bird. Oh, what was I
Totally.
talking about? So
Yeah,
you mentioned that. Now, I will say that with the NAD, uh, I don't know if I can't really say that I'm not doing it as much, but at least when I do that and I come back to it, I at least remember what I was talking about. It may take me a second,
that's
but I do
good.
remember it. So,
Yeah,
that is one positive thing so far. But like I said, it's a little too soon, but that kind of brought that up. Uh,
that's another
so
thing.
I,
That's why I want to try it too. I'm in perimenopause
mhm,
and I'm like brain fog is real. The struggle is awful for brain
mhm.
fog. And it's like with my ADHD, oh my gosh. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm like, please help me with the mental clarity, please.
I will say taking the food noise out of the equation with the GLP-1s has helped with my mental clarity also. Because I'm just not constantly thinking about food, so that whole train of thought is gone. So my brain is a little more focused.
Yeah.
Now, I tend to end these interviews with asking you if there's anything that you would like to say to somebody thinking of starting or just starting a GLP-1 medication.
I would definitely say to anybody that's thinking about it or starting about it, do your research and give it a shot. No pun intended. because it is worth it. And the benefits are amazing. And just don't give up. If you don't have any weight loss the first week or two, don't give up. If you're not seeing the results that you are thinking that you're supposed to have, don't give up because it does come. It may take a little bit. Some people are faster. Everybody has their own journey. Everybody's body is different, but take the shot and I promise you it'll be worth it.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for taking time out of your recuperating schedule to speak with us. It was very informative. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. And I want to
Thank you so
remind
much.
everybody that Chasing Sunshine and all of Melissa's information will be linked down below in the description. So please, when you're done watching this, hit that like, smash that subscribe. Come on, I know you want to smash it, just smash it. And then go over to Melissa's channel and hit that like button, smash that subscribe, and help us both out so that we could continue to try to help other people.
Thank you so much, Lori. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And with that, this is a wrap.